Well, well, what we find when we go back in genealogy. I was going back there and I'm tired and I didn't have the paper laid out to write this down. I Googled some, trying to find out some things. The JFK files that he helped kidnap me, JFK did. His father was ambassador to um, England, 36 to 46, when they kicked him out. President Roosevelt put him over there. Okay, JFK's daughter, Caroline, is ambassador to Japan. This is my dad, Edward VIII, that they lied about and said he married Wallace Warfield Simpson, an American spy, which was a total lie. She married a double, became the illegal Duke and Duchess of Windsor. They call my father, every name in the book has been lie after lie to this man. My mom, he was married to Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, an American, sister to Georgia O'Keefe, Madison, Wisconsin. I was born in 1939, and here's all these good people. Roosevelt, Uncle George, the illegal six, and his honey over here, Elizabeth's mom, that was related to the Rothschilds, the controlled banking that helped kidnap me. So you had Roosevelt, and by the way, Facebook Zuckerman, that I'm going to put this up on in Ben if it's not taken down, is Rockefeller's grandson, and he plans to run for president. Now, he's calling and talking about he and Obama came up with this fake news about a couple of years ago. The fake news is what they did to my father, the sorry sots. May they burn in hell. I hope there's a God and he does it. They're planning my kidnapping in 1939. Uncle George had taken down my father. Now remember, he wouldn't go along with the Illuminati. It's the mafia. He's a good guy in it, and he's trashed, and then they kidnap me, and they don't even mention his being married to, I'm going to turn this around, to my mom. I wrote a book, I'm going to get this in here real quick, about, in 1978, about mind control murders. It was cases of some doctors, etc., and deaths done using the weapon of mind control. And Larry Flint was shot in Lawrenceville, Georgia during that time, March the 6th of 78. And the person that shot him was programmed, and he was paralyzed, and his attorney was killed, and the judge on it was hurt pretty bad. Now, he says here, this was in I got this later after I'd run for Congress and written the book and almost was killed, and it wasn't published. April of 84. I'm just showing you this. Now, I'm going to get, my father's the good guy in here. He has been smeared, and history never has told the truth. I am going to show you some of the mind control murders. These are people who are programmed, don't even know it. They hate this guy. He was supposed to have killed his mom and all those kids in Sandy Hook. He was programmed to shoot himself. So was Mr. Paddock out in Vegas. And I'm going to go ahead and say this. If you go back, and James Holmes, and the Grand Theater, and they use mental illness. Like they have a mental disorder. Mind control has nothing to do with mental illness. It's a mechanism, a tool to kill, and they can cure illnesses or create them. It goes back to the Tesla files. I did not find out, and I'm leaving all it because I've put all this up, tried to, over the last 5 years on YouTube and Facebook. I can't get an attorney. I have lived in hell from the 2 years I was born with my mom and dad. I spent running, them trying to keep me alive because they're trying to kidnap me. That was the little nice movie that was made out about George the Sixth. He's illegal, stole it from his brother and then kidnapped me I'm Victoria II, heir of the British Crown. And my father had an addendum to the forced abdication, and he's married to my mom during this time, and she's the Queen of England, 1936. And Winston Churchill helped burn the Windsor files. So they meant to take my father down. He wouldn't go along with them. He was a good guy. He loved my country, his country. And George VI is made out the hero when he's a bloody crook. And look at the smile on their faces. This is his, excuse me, that was Mrs. Roosevelt, the mother of Franklin. Here's his, well, no, excuse me, that's Eleanor. It's hideous you get into it, because Eleanor later, I've put this up, a picture where she's shaking hands with Wallace Simpson, like, hey, job well done. We got rid of him, kidnapped the monarch, and hey, we're on our way to the global government. Here's Roosevelt, and look at the smile on Elizabeth, who's the illegal monarch, the daughter of George and her. She knows all about me and my dad, all about my dad being married to my mom. Here's this. Look at the smile on her face. Bloody crooks. Now, if I wrote about mind control murders, and by the way, the one in Elizabeth Haslam is Canadian, and in Zorings. That was, this is in the Roanoke Times, April the 3rd of 95, but the murders happened in, about April the 1st of 1980. Oh, wow. 5, yeah. Okay, I started writing stuff down, and I Googled, because I knew this is the fake marriage. Father was never married to that, you know what. I'm going to show this real quick. This is Timothy McVeigh, who drove the Ryder truck into Oklahoma City, the bombing there. And he was put to death. And he said the Army implanted a computer chip in his buttocks. So this book was, I didn't keep the rest of the book. A church actually gave it to me and told me what I was writing and telling was similar to what they were, only I had done mine in 78 and tried to get it published, and I was almost killed. That's when Mr. Flint was shot. Implantable biochips. This is the people he's talking about, Project Lucid, that kidnapped me. He's talking about the end times and all that, which I didn't know. I kind of believe it now, I'm not sure, but they kidnapped me, and the UN is your global government, your mafia control, your Rockefellers, your media. Trump told the truth about it. Now you get into... I tried to tell people, I put this all up before on YouTube and Facebook, so I didn't just come up with any of it. I've told the truth, so help me God every step of the way. I couldn't make it up. When I was almost killed April Fool Day of 80, after trying to get the book published and things happening to my kids, and letter from the FBI, ongoing investigation, national security involved, was given to me by William Harper, U.S. attorney there, mailed to me. So it's still ongoing. I keep hoping, the files were being released, because when, I'm going to skip, I'm just going to give you a bit because I put it all up there. After I was almost killed April the 1st of 80, I thought it was because of the book, and part of it was. I was transported illegally in the condition I was in, and believe me, it was hell. I shouldn't have lived. I went to work in May of 80, mid-May of 80, for the District Attorney Fred Simpson, Madison County DA, Huntsville, Alabama, the Space Center, where I was taken when I was kidnapped near there to Moulton, Alabama, and given another name. JFK helped do it, the Illuminati, Rockefellers, Rothschilds. They retaliated against my father didn't they? Look where they left Tim and my mom and me and my kids. And that's another story what's been done to my kids here and me, if the truth's ever told. Now, so I get this up. When I was almost killed in 1980, I was back, and believe you me, Jimmy Carter, I thought Jimmy Carter was a good guy. He and Rosalind, all of them knew about my kidnapping, everything. And there's a point I want to make here. Reverend Reverend Martin Luther King, they're saying that there's a page in the file now that's supposed to be released, or just has been released, connecting Martin Luther King and the Kennedys. Well, I've just put that up, and somehow I've suddenly lost the Kennedy page that I have put up before about his connection to Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King partnered with Kennedy in the efforts, not just efforts, to take down the British, the UK. They kidnapped me. After they kidnapped me, they wanted South Africa and all that went with it. They used it. Martin Luther King partnered with him. Now and then the FBI have files that they're releasing. I don't know if they're going to tell anything about this, but about the connection to me or not. I hope the ongoing investigation is complete and the truth is told. And some people most of them are dead. A lot of them, not most of them, a lot of them are dead. All these heroes you've got going for you, you're a bunch of cold-blooded, murdering crooks. Now then, Martin Luther King partnered with Kennedy in what was happening to me. Okay, Kennedy was shot by a programmed shooter, which is Oswald. Jack Ruby developed cancer. He was programmed to shoot Oswald. And the Tesla files, it goes back to that. You can program a person to do anything you tell them to do, commit suicide. So murder, they make it look like murder when it's suicide or just natural causes. If they die, cancer, heart attack, you name it. So if I can get this down, I'm tired, and I so hope this is the end of the mess, and my father's name's cleared, and my mom, and I hope my children are alive, and I hope the criminals pay for their crimes. And God knows if you don't know who the criminals are, something's wrong. You do know. I've put it up, and I'm going to say this here. Okay, Reverend, and I have a blank on his name. It's so detestable to me knowing what I know. I went back to Atlanta. My apartment had been stolen. I'd worked for the district attorney. I'd worked for Doyle Duke. I'd worked for Computer Science Corporation. I was trying to get, and I couldn't get jobs anymore, and I was still in a bad condition. You don't recover from what they did to me. So I went back to, and I'm leaving a lot out, to Atlanta, and I was on the street in the winter with flip-flops on, freezing to death, having to stay out in the daytime and pretend, just to get out of the cold, that I was had an empty cup, pretending I was drinking coffee there. By the way, CNN was right upstairs from where I would go part of the time, and they know all of this. They always have. So I went to Mrs. King downtown in the condition I was in, tried to see her. I didn't know this part about their connection to after I was kidnapped, with them partnering with the Kennedys, the New World Order. And so I went down there, and I waited, and I was afraid they'd lock me up. They can do anything to me they want to, and have just about. She wouldn't come out. It was down to the headquarters. They're supposed to be for civil liberties and religion and all this. What a sick joke. I went down there and waited inside, and But anyway, she finally came out she didn't. She sent someone out that said he was right next to her, and she's in a real important meeting, Mrs. Martin Luther King, Coretta Scott King. And that, I want to make sure this is going, it's just about, I'm going to have to stop. and I'm not going to get on here what I was trying to, I guess. Anyway, her person came out and said, well, let's step outside. Well, remember, I got flip-flops, no clothes. I've been almost murdered. This is back in the winter of 82. And, I mean, it's hideous ongoing what happened. I stepped outside with him. I guess I'm not good enough. I'm good enough to kidnap, and I'm the Queen of England, but hey. He said, we know what you're talking about. He was a younger man. He said something about, we have someone in South Africa that, a doctor, and he went to the dentist, and when he come back, he took a running leap, slammed into the wall, and busted his mouth. In other words, he had a chip put in him, which is what I've been telling about. So now then, I went to the mayor at that time was, what's his name, Reverend Andrew Young, who was with Martin Luther King when he was shot, but James Earl Ray, who was a program shooter. He would not see me, and I now know from what I found out, and it makes perfect sense, he was appointed by Jimmy Carter to the United Nations, which began after they kidnapped me and took down my father. They invaded, the United States did, the Mafia, the Illuminati, Great Britain, and set up their military, and this allowed all this to happen. Jerusalem going to the Jews, and the United Nations, which is your global government, your Mafia, your Illuminati. Now, all these good people sitting up there running me all over hell's half acre while I starve and freeze and beg. You have no idea. I want to get to this, though, since I mentioned the Kennedys, and I was just Googling back because I know that Jackie Kennedy's younger sister married into supposedly royalty. She married, if I can find it, I wrote it all down, and Radzwill's his last name. I think his name's Alberton anyway. I don't, I've got so many sheets here. You have to get into it. They were born in Poland, the father, but they're of royalty, and they're related to the Windsor, the royal family, which becomes Philip Mountbatten, and, oh God, what was it there that I saw? It connects to the House of Windsor, House of Hesse, House of on and on. And Philip Mountbatten is a cousin of mine. He's the one that married Elizabeth, who's illegal, who's sitting over there, and it's unreal. I mean, they know all about what happened. They are crooks and they're traitors. She is illegal. Her father was illegal. They're criminals, war criminals, and everybody loves them. So when you get into this, though, there's biographies that were written about, okay, the younger sister to Jackie Onassis, Bouvier she married Onassis. She married JFK, Jackie Kennedy. Her son's JFK, who came up on the mountain where I was living here in Roanoke, Virginia, Troutville, came up there in 1992 or 93 with his buddy with a backpack on and said, I wanted to come up here and see how we made you live. I was starving and freezing and et cetera, and all that's been done to me. So his plane, a plane he was on, went down about 5 years later. Wonder if he saw a picture of me flash before his mind before he went down. Now, if I can get back to this, I was trying to find out how the younger sister, because she was called Princess, and the man she married was kin to me, Radzwill, and he was a prince, and so the connection begins there. But this is what I wanted to get on, and I'm going to stop. They've